Today we will see rough scenes, scary Pomni teeth and the rest of the behind the scenes of the series. The Amazing Digital Circus is nominated for Best Character Animation at the 51st Annual Annie Award. This is a huge achievement for an independent animation studio. The authors are really happy about this, as this is a rather rare event. Last year, the winner in this category was the cartoon The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, produced by Apple TV and the BBC. This year the ceremony will take place on February 17, 2024. Let's send our support to Glitch and wish them victory. I didn't find on the awards website exactly how we can support them, so I suggest supporting them morally. Perhaps you should go to the Glitch channel and congratulate them, write them some words of encouragement. We also see Kevin Temer as a nominee. Who is he? He is the lead animator on the project. More than 40 people worked on the pilot episode. Let's take a closer look at the credits. In addition to the idea and script from Gusworks, a large number of people also took part in drawing the cartoon in both 2D and 3D format. I don't think any of the scenes were drawn entirely by one person from start to finish. And fortunately for us, the creators share their contribution to the process of creating the series, and I have collected this information for you in one place. Gusworks developed the heroes first. She shared her sketches, and we can see that Gusworks made quite a few other variations before the final result. For example, look at Kane's first drafts. Here he has eyes above his jaw and, to be honest, he looked less organic before. And this is what Kaufmo could look like. Gusworks definitely considered different options for visualizing it. Zoable could actually look like this. Or maybe it will happen in the future. We don't know exactly what details she will change in the next episodes. Also, it's not at all clear to me who exactly Gusworks could present to us in the form of a butterfly. But I'm really glad she ditched the frog Pomni. And here are a couple more unidentified characters who did not make it into the final result. Gusworks has already said that it spent quite a lot of time creating Ragatha. Here are some of the sketches. And we even get to see what Pomni looks like without the cap. Next, Gusworks broke down the storyline into individual key points and indicated what she would like to see in them. Look at these shots. In each frame we can recognize the corresponding scene from the cartoon, and under each of them there are 3 lines that briefly describe what exactly is happening in the frame. Dialogue, action in the frame and what happens with the camera. Dialogue, tense groan. Action, running towards the camera. Action, run through the next door. The camera is a top-down tracking shot from room E to room J, and even the rooms at the top are labeled on the diagram. And so on, all the camera turns and zooms are provided, accompanying the phrases and emotions on the faces of the characters. Just look at the exact correspondence between Gusworks' ideas and the final version. This shows that the entire team worked harmoniously and smoothly, respecting each other's work. At the same time, the creators whose interviews I read claim that each of them was inspired by the process and inspired their colleagues. And everyone was able to bring their own creativity and imagination to the project. Gusworks not only came up with the characters, plot and script. She also agreed on the resulting final version or asked to redo it if necessary. For each character, in addition to creating a 3D model from a sketch, all variants of emotions were also drawn, first in 2D and then in 3D. They are prepared in reserve for any occasion, so that you don't have to invent a new emotion from scratch. For example, emote options for Jax. And further stages of work on them. According to Kevin Temer, Jax's facial expressions were the most difficult. And the lighting animators played a huge role. After all, his smile is 3-dimensional and without the right shadows it doesn't work. By the way, did you notice who Jax looks like in this shot? And that episode where Jax first rudely uses Zoable's hand to scratch his back and then Zoable's hand latches onto his neck? The scene only lasts a few seconds, but it is quite complex. Here are some intermediate options in the process of developing the scene. And I can't shake the feeling that the facial expressions are very similar to the footage from Monkey Wrench. Pomni has a wide range of emotions and very diverse facial expressions. For Pomni, they also prepared many different options for all occasions. Her sharp teeth especially frighten me. And we have already seen them in some shots. And here are the sketches of Kinger. Look, he might have eyes like the cat from Shrek. There are very few elements on Kinger's face that can be interacted with to convey emotion, so the animators made the most of what little he has on his face. Cain has a similar problem, he only has a jaw, tongue and 2 eyes. But you don't think it's bland, do you? There are tricks. For example, his upper jaw is used in facial expressions as eyebrows. At the same time, the eyes and tongue actively participate in everything that happens and dramatically change their location and size. By the way, how do you like this sketch, Cain with a cuckoo in his mouth? I wonder if this idea was discarded or if we still have similar shots ahead. They say that not the full range of rendered emotions have been used for Bubble yet, so it can definitely surprise us in the next episodes. Interestingly, Zoable's eyebrows appear and disappear. Have you noticed this before? The scene where Ragatha and Pomni stand in front of Kaufmo's door, watching the monster come out, was completely redone from the original version. In the first iteration, Ragatha's facial expressions and movements turned out to be completely inappropriate and poorly revealed the character. In the second iteration, we got a more natural reaction for her to what was happening. Which one do you prefer? Write in the comments. Many of the details that organically merged into the final version for us were laid out in the sketch version. For example, look at the sketch of Queen of Gloinks by Gusworks. Already here she immediately gives notes that it has the shape of a garbage bag full of solid objects. The queen has a maternity head at the back. Along the entire body, the mouth is like lightning and the tongue can come out anywhere. And also a special note that this is a fat worm. Next they are developing her 3D model and even the queen's ability to speak and move her head. This is a completely separate task completed by Temer. But that's not all. Storyboard artists drew frame by frame what should happen in each scene. The detail is amazing, there's slow motion here. Here is the camera rotation. And, despite the fact that schematic images of the characters were used for the storyboard, we see an exact correspondence between the plan and the fact. This is understandable. 3D production is quite a resource-intensive endeavor. Rendering 1 minute of the final material can take quite a decent amount of time and it is much cheaper to think through everything in detail in 2D format. For example, Gusworks rendered a 2D scene with Bubble and Vomit. And also with Gangle falling into the basement of Queen of Gloinks. The 3D artists also did not work alone and had a team of people involved in one scene. Someone was doing the basic filling of the stage. Someone was busy drawing the details of facial expressions for each scene. For example, they say that it was very difficult to cope with Ragatha's facial expressions. Animation in the stop-motion style was planned for her, and this turned out to be a completely non-trivial task. For each character, the gait was drawn in different versions, so that the animators could then choose the most suitable option for each case. It was easiest to implement the Kinger gait. But Zoable was supposed to stumble every few steps. Have you noticed this? I haven't yet, perhaps this idea has been abandoned. And yes, someone wrote in the comments that the abstract monster looks like a llama. Personally, it looks more like a sea calf to me when viewed from above. Doing work in 2D and 3D format is far from being enough, as we might think. Please note that even in a perfectly rendered facial expression and scene there is still something wrong, there are not enough shadows and light. And a whole team of lighting artists worked on the cartoon project, who gave the picture volume and realism. However, the 3D world is much larger than what we ended up seeing in the frame. And a lot depends on the angle from which this or that scene is shown to us. For example, look at the teaser where Jax's hand hits Gangle from somewhere off-screen. And here's what it looked like if you zoomed the camera out a little. Since Jax's torso was not visible in this scene, he looked quite strange. Or this moment. Cain takes off his hat. If we look at the same scene a little from the side, rather than from the front, we can see that Cain had to extend his elbow back in a very unnatural way to make this move. The shot where Kane's hand takes bubble from the shot with Kinger looks very funny. Look how he had to stretch out his hand. And also in the shots where Kane brings bubble back into the frame. The shots where Ragatha trips over Jax's foot are also shot from a very good angle. Notice how it would look from the side. And how organic it looks from the front. When viewing the rough materials, it is clear that everything does not always look logical in a full 3D scene. For example, the scene from the teaser where the cleaver cuts into Ragatha's head. Until the moment it appeared in the frame, the cleaver was simply hanging in the air. By the way, just like in the screensaver with Kane, the heart and brain hang next to each other. It's just that what we see in the final scene does not give us the opportunity to understand where they came from in the frame. But here Kevin Temmer showed something that was not obvious in the episode itself. In the scene where Jax communicates with Kinger and Gangle, in one of the shots there is a sharp reduction in the distance between Jax and the others. At the same time, in the series it looks organic, but in fact it is not entirely natural. Thank you for watching. I really look forward to your likes and subscriptions.